I've traveled the world as a writer and an activist for my entire life.
What we are talking about is a revolution.
We are the women that our parents warned us about.
And I can tell you that by confronting the problems once marginalized as women's issues, we can tackle the greatest dangers of the 21st century. Behind every major crisis, there's an unseen factor at play, a story you've never been told. The greatest indicator of the world's stability, wealth, and safety is the status of women. Rape in times of war is a form of terrorism designed to instill fear, create trauma, and destroy communities. The victims are attacked, mutilated, and then shunned. In the Democratic Republic of Congo alone, 1.8 million women have been targets of brutal sexual assault. And today in the DRC, mass rapes are no longer confined to war zones. They've become routine.
Hi. This is little baby Horeb. He's super cute. He's a product of rape, like most of the kids here. They're all growing up in this little community because just like the women are shamed from rape, the products of the rape, these kids, are also shamed, and therefore it's very hard for them to grow up in regular Congolese society. So this is a place that they can legitimately grow up and be accepted.
We wanted to find out why these rapes are happening. More than 20 years ago, armed forces from Rwanda invaded the DRC. This set off a wave of conflicts between tribal militias, ethnic groups, and guerrilla units from other countries, all battling for power in the mineral-rich hills of Central Africa. And almost every one of these groups has used mass rape of civilians as a terror tactic. The war officially ended in 2003. The question is, why have the rapes continued years later? We went deeper into the region to find out.
So we're still in eastern Congo. We're just leaving the very last buildings that are under government control. One of the rebel warlords has actually agreed to speak with us, so he sent some of his soldiers to come meet us, which just means getting past these roads first. Is it far from here?
Over the years, groups of local militia, known as Mai Mai, have sprung up to defend against rebel attacks on their villages.
So we've been walking for about 6 kilometers with these guys guarding us. We're just getting to the village where these rebels and their warlord are based. Can you describe what your life was like before this war?
Mimi nilikuwa mlimaji. Nilikuwa sijue hivi. Mimi nilikuwa niko mtu akamata mpanga, mimi naenda kushamba, mimi naenda tumika, mimi nalima kusudi nipate maisha ya watoto yangu. Ni Munyarwanda kuenda kutuingilia huku, mbo Mtusi naye alikuja kutuingilia huku. Nikacha mimi naacha maisha yangu ile ya kutumika, nikakamata silaha nikaanza kupigana vita.
To this day, 13 years after the end of the war, splinter rebel groups from Rwanda and local Mai Mai militia, like this one, continue to fight over territory.
Can you just explain what your tribe does and why do you guys still need to be here with the heavy weaponry that you have?
Me juu walikuwa ni watu ya mbali, tulikuwa tuko tunaona ni sispe. Hauzi nikamatia bibi yangu mie leo. Juu hauko mtu wa inchi. Au walikuwa napenda maana yake tu wafanye ile mambo ile makosa yote kusudi kosi tanto sie tunaanza kuwa na boga ya kukimbia hata watu. Ile kusema ikabi kuna tendele kitendo. Maana ni kutafuta mpate ile malipizi na nyewe wote mkuwe na boga na kama nchi yenyewe wanapasha bairikipere na wanaibeba. kumbe tukatoshe tukapige tu kama nitakufa leo ama mtoto wangu akufe kesho.
As these rapes continue, the survivors often have no place to turn. So many of them end up here. This is Masika Katsuva. Around here, she's known as Mama Masika. She began bringing survivors of rape to Buganga village in 2000. Most of them come from medical and community support. It's kind of a mini refugee camp, so they've kind of tried to start to rebuild their lives again. Mama Masika? Hi, Jambo. I'm Isabel. Nice to meet you. Hello. Mama Masika asks me to wait while she documents the progress of Georgetta, who was brought here physically and emotionally drained around a month ago.
Kule kwetu tulikuwaka tunalala njo vile bandera amwe bakefikaka na bameoa wanangu njo bakenikamata kunikatakata mwili yote, kamata mai ya moto bananilunguza, so kunilunguza ale njo bote ginzi balikuwaka na njo vile bote balinikamataka 2. Nikumepita siku 2 niko tuku komande. Ananiacha tu pale na maiti zote watoto wangu 7 na bwana yangu na maiti ziko tu pembeni yangu. Sasa nishituka, kisha shituka akili napotea.
Do you know who these men were?
Bale ni Federere, bale beba alitoka Rwanda.
With so many women like Georgetta falling victim to this horrific violence, it's easy to imagine the harm it's doing to the society as a whole. Visiting Mama Masika in this village full of rape survivors, the sheer number of atrocities and the effect it's having on society at large begins to sink in.
Nianza hii kazi mu 2000. Donc nakuwa 15 niko natumika hii kazi ya wamama. Nimeshapata wamama 10,123. Nilishazika femme beba nakufa na sida. Fille beba ngali wa moins de 18 ans beba nakufa mwa watamuingiza muti alikia na magonjwa. Femme benye balipia banaingiziwa miti vile wanakufa tu banaacha watoto.
The pain of rape is something Mama Masika has experienced firsthand. She and 2 of her daughters are survivors of violent sexual assaults.
Jo vile ile date ya le 29 c'était sawa kama shamba. Wakaanza kunibakia jele minofu ya bwanangu. Nimesabia wa kwanza, wa pili, wa tatu mpaka 12. Na wakati nimesabia 12, nimesikia kushambre ngine watoto wangu nao wanaanza lia. Mama nikapoteza akili. Mtoto wa kwanza alikuwa na 14. Mwingine alikuwa na 12. Na ile siku wote wakabeba mimba. Nakutana familia ya bwana. Walisema mimi niko mtu wa mikoshi. Wakaujisha parcel. Benye balikuwa wadogo, bale balikuwa wamebakiwa pamoja na mimi. Nimeshakuwa na watoto wakaniambia bali ni bambaraga wenzangu.
This is the real tragedy of rape in the DRC. Not only are the women brutalized, they also lose all status in society. Survivors are often shunned by their communities and driven from their homes.
Tangu hii miaka 15 nilionaka wakati mwana wa mama wenzangu wamekataliwa mafamilia zao na mimi nilikataliwa kama familia ya bwana. Tumejiunga pamoja, tumeanza kazi ya mlimo ya mashamba. Asante maana utatenda na utakuwa faraja katika jina la Yesu Kristo naomba hivi. Amen.
With no home to go back to and no other source of income, the women rent plots of land and grow just enough staples to feed the village. They sell the excess to pay for supplies. They are somehow surviving, but still in constant danger.
There are rebels all around this region, so it's still a really vulnerable place for women to be farming.
Militias like the one we visited say they need to exist to protect their communities. But several Mai Mai groups have been publicly accused of perpetrating their own rapes and murders.
Because it's obviously so hard to control all your troops as a general, do you think that it's possible that any of your soldiers could have ever raped anyone?
Bo, ewan, kapo kuna viole. Bo, nikiwaza hata soda alienda mbali, kwenye alienda. Bo, venye atafanya kule hausi vijua we mkubwa mwenye uko huku.
This is where we're going to spend the night. Everyone's kind of still eating and chattering around us, but we've got a bunch of guys and soldiers with their AK-47s and their RPGs guarding over us. Don't know if that makes me feel safer or not, but yeah.
For the people of Eastern Congo, the raids, rapes, and fighting in their land never ended with the war. The reason is simple. The DRC is sitting on a fortune of precious metals and minerals, and all of these armed groups are desperate to get their share.
This is one of hundreds of mines in this district which are mining for gold and coltan and various other minerals, which is where the majority of the wealth comes from in Congo.
Eastern Congo is one of the world's top 5 producers of coltan, a mineral essential to the production of laptops, tablets, and cell phones. Prices for coltan are soaring, making the mines high-value targets for different rebel groups. These groups raid the mines and then use the spoils to buy weapons and supplies. This makes working conditions extremely dangerous for these women, who have no choice but to work here after losing their farms and families to the same rebel raiders.
Basi kukosa gisi mtu atasomesha mtoto na vile batakula. Ndio tunakuya sasa tukwe tunashinda huku tutafuta hata nusu ya franka.
So when was the last time they came here?
Mwezi ya 7. Waliua bwanangu na wengine bakakufa.
And what happened to the women working here in this mine?
Bali ba violaka. Na wengine bakabebewa mpoli.
So are you safe working here?
Hakuna hatuko msikirite tunakosa gisi tutafanya.
If rebels showed up right now, it's really not easy to escape. I mean, there's nowhere to run to. These women are completely helpless and vulnerable.
And these miners aren't the only ones at risk. This plague of sexual violence has been spreading beyond the conflict zones and into everyday life.
So we're at Panzi Hospital in Bukavu. This is a place where women come from all over Eastern Congo, from miles and miles, to come and seek medical help for rape with extreme violence. This place was set up by Dr. Dennis Mukwege, who we're about to meet.
On the team of Mobile Clinic, we have 2 teams.
Dr. Mukwege is a Nobel Peace Prize nominee and the world's leading expert on treating victims of gang rape.
J'ai travaillé ici pendant plus maintenant de 32 ans. Je n'avais jamais vu ce que je vois aujourd'hui. Jamais. Aujourd'hui, on voit le nombre d'enfants violés qui augmente et je pense que ça, c'est un phénomène qu'on doit absolument comprendre.
Dr. Mukwege takes me to the hospital's pediatric wing to see for myself.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Mama, ni habari gani?
Nzuri.
Shida gani ilitokea?
Wakaniambia sasa mtoto basha mviole.
How old is your child?
Wapi balimbeba?
Kuna miaka ngapi?
Wa miaka 6.
6 years old.
Nani bazala?
Ndio mama, ile iko shida sana, lakini tutajaribu kufanya ile tunaweza kusaidia. Nitaangalia mtoto na na kuona kama ile njia yake ya choo inaomba operation zaidi au hapana. We have a protocol how to treat this kind of lesion. We have 5 classes. So here we have when only it's the skin who is touched.
The physical effects of rape on a child can be devastating. In some cases, the vagina and anus are completely destroyed, leading to incontinence and infection. In the worst case, the child's abdomen is punctured, which is usually fatal.
Most of them are dying just here or before, or they came and reached this place after. So I'm not alive. Oscille, eh? Oscille. Tutaangalia tu, hein? Sawa, utakiwa kamata bombo kubiro yangu. Sawa. Tutakuacho tenda kunyumba.
This child's injuries are healing. She will not need surgery.
Sawa, mom.
Seeing a 6-year-old child who's been raped really brings home how horrific all this is. Why do you think it is that we're seeing the increase in rape incidences amongst children and various different provinces?
Je crois que c'est lié à la guerre. Lorsqu'on les désarme dans les groupes armés, il n'y a pas une prise en charge psychologique qui les accompagne. Et ils ont fait ces atrocités. Et ils vont dans la société avec leurs problèmes psychologiques, qui nous amène à ce qu'un acte qui est pénal, finalement, est considéré comme un acte presque de routine dans la société.
In fact, of the 1.8 million rapes committed in the last 20 years, only a fraction of the cases have ever gone to trial. That means the vast majority of rapists in the DRC remain completely free.
Et il y a des viols qui sont commis par la population civile, tout simplement, puisque l'impunité est totale.
We're just entering the village of Minova, which is right on the border between North Kivu and South Kivu. Back in 2012, this is where government troops swarmed in and raped well over 100 women.
According to survivors, the culprits were not foreign rebels or unregulated militia. They were the DRC's own army. In response, the government took an unusual step for the DRC. They held a military trial to bring the perpetrators to justice. 39 soldiers, including 5 high-ranking officers, were brought up on charges of rape, looting, and failure to maintain control of troops. After a 6-month trial, a verdict was reached. Only 2 junior soldiers were convicted.
We're just outside Goma. We're going to go talk to some of the perpetrators of the Minova rape.
We were told that to get access to these prisoners, we should first interview the vice-governor of Goma.
Nous pensons que ce procès-là, c'est un procès qui a fait un couronnement de la lutte contre les violences faites aux femmes. La Haute Cour militaire a fait un travail formidable. Le commandement retient la discipline de nos éléments et nous pensons que dans le cadre de la réforme de l'armée, il y a une nette amélioration.
Even though the vice-governor had said we should be admitted, when we tried to go inside with our cameras, we were refused.
The minister that we spoke to was telling us how great their justice system is, how many men have been convicted of rape in the last few years, how many prisoners they're holding in here. They haven't let us see a single prisoner. So it's impossible to tell. I don't know how the justice system is working at this point.
What is clear is that every single month, Panzi Hospital documents nearly 100 new cases of sexual violence against women and children. And these are just the cases that are reported. Without an effective judicial process consistently handing down real punishments, this statistic is not going down anytime soon. So what hope is there for the DRC? For the women and girls in Mama Masika's village?
Ajue kwanza juu ya kugarantire mama, kumsuporte mama, kuonesha mama kama mama iko na droit ya kuishi nyumba yake, maisha munini. Wanakwambia tuko na amani, tuko na amani. Mesie huku chini, univo lokale, amani yetu iko wapi? Uhuru ya kuishi Mkongo, mama atakuwa wamzina, mama wote wa Kongo mani watajikuta wanarudilia maisha yao ya zamani. Tulikuwa bakondifa na tuko na sana mtu alikuwa tupitisha mbele. Sie tunajua kama sie wa mama wa Kongo tulikuwa na valeur.
Since we filmed this piece in the DRC, Masika Katsuva died suddenly from complications of malaria. It's a profound loss of a woman who changed the lives of countless people. Meanwhile, the rapes continue. As we've seen in many parts of the Congo, sexualized violence from war has been normalized. Until that is remedied, any other hope for peace will be in vain.